Welcome to robotics, and you're going to get a chance today to build a robot for the first time. This is some of the Mindstorm's kit, and I'm just going to talk you through the things that you've got on here so that you're familiar with everything inside. Well, the most important thing is this thing. It's known as the brick, and this, if I turn it on, is the brains behind all the robots. Oh, there we go. So it's fired up there and it's ready to take instructions and also run programs. So that's my brick. These two things are motors. This orange bit will turn around and move wheels. We have a selection of wheels here. I've got the little wheels and I've got the big wheels. And then the rest of them are all the bits that we're going to use to build a robot. These things are called beams. I've got a few of those of different lengths. These are axles. These we rather affectionately call llamas. I guess it looks a bit like a llama. A little llama. Okay. And these are just H's. I don't know why. Well, it looks a bit like an H. There we go. And what else we've got on here? We've got various connectors. This is a little wheel, and the rest of the things in here are connectors. I don't know if you can see in there, down there. And we're going to teach you, I'm going to show you today how to build a Mindstorm. Oh, and these things are data cables for connecting it all together to build something looking a bit like this, which is a simple robot. And what it can do is it can drive itself around when you program that around, and we're going to see if we can't build one of those today. So let's get going, and you're going to have to get all these bits together and make it as we're going along. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to build the underside of my robot. So what we need, I want to get these beams here. These ones have all got sort of 6, you can count the holes up, 1, 2, 3, or 7 rather, 7 hole beams there. There's 2 there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get one of these. Can you just zoom in on that one? This is a connector, and you can see it's got a little lip there. That means it can go through and stop. Now, I'm going to put that there all the way through. And in fact, I'm going to put one there, like so. And then I'm going to put another beam on the top like that. So that's piece number 1. Now, piece number 2. I want this one, which has got 13 on it. There we go, live editing for you. So this is a 13 long beam, and what I want to do with that one is, again, I'm going to put in my connector there. I'm going to put it in 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through, and do another one, 5 in from the other side again, all the way through. And on the bottom of that, I'm going to take my 5 beam and connect it in. So it should look something like that. Piece 2. Put that over there. I'm going to take one of my 7s, let's get it right, and I'm going to put the blue in like that, and another one in to make it look like that. Perfect. And then I'm going to get my 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and clip it on there, like that. Look something like that. Put that down there. Now, I'm going to take a motor. This is one of my motors, and this is where I'm going to take one of my H's, and I'm going to stick an H down the very end here of those 3, and just click it in, looking like that. And it might take a little bit of wiggling, but it will click into those holes there. And do the same with the other one. Take my motor. Take my H, click it in, like that. So I've got 2 of those. And then I'm going to put them down here on the table. And on the underside of those, where's that gone? There it is. On the other side of that, I'm going to take another H, and I'm going to clip them in on opposite sides. So one goes in this side. You see, I've got a grey side up here, and I'm going to clip one in the other side. So they can now sit there on the table like that. And now I've got those, I'm going to take my little black connectors, which look like this, and put 2 on this one, and then 2 on the other side, exactly. So now I've got the motors, I've got these 3 pieces, and we are nearly ready to begin building it. So here we go. This is my brick again. I'm going to turn this upside down, and for the purposes of this particular car, it doesn't really matter which way it goes around. Let me talk about the brick for a second. You have these ports on the side here, and that one there, the one which looks different, that's the USB cable. That one, eventually you'll connect it to a computer to be able to program this yourself, but we won't be doing that today. And these are sockets, these are ports for connecting the data cables. And if I show you how they connect, the data cable, we're not doing this right now, but I'm just going to show you what to do. Plugs in like this, and you'll hear it click. There we go. And it's now stuck, it won't come out. If you try and pull that out, you'll actually damage it. There's a tiny little catch there, you just squeeze that together, and then it comes out really easily. And there's more sockets on the bottom. These ones are numbered. If you look very carefully along the grey, I don't know if you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, or A, B, C. And it's really important when it comes to the right time that you get the right one. So anyway, let's build this now. I'm going to turn my brick upside down, and yeah, I'm going to start here at the back end. I'm going to take this piece. This is one of the first pieces that we built over here. Can you see that one? With the 11 and the 7 poking down. And I'm just going to clip it in the holes on the bottom of the brick, like so. Should be looking like that. And then I'm going to take this one, just the 2 double 7s, and clip it in the other side. Looking something like that. Now, I'm then going to take this one and place it about there. There's nothing to clip on, it's just going to be loose just for a second, because what you'll see in a second is what we're going to do with it. And then, what we're going to do, I'm going to get another one of my black ones. So we're now onto the, right, pause. Okay, I'm now going to go to my 13s, no 15s rather, these got 15 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, somewhere up there. And I'm going to start putting a little black thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in. And do the same on this side over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've now got these 2, 5 across. Now what we're going to do here is this, can you see this? 5 across. I'm going to turn these upside down. This one is going to go here, and it's going to click into the second hole in there, and all the way down into that one there. And this one's going to do exactly the same. Second hole in, click in between the 2, and now that's in place. And now we can take our motors, and I'm going to clip one, and this one is going to go all the way in here. I don't know if you can see, I'm going to, where's it gone? Yeah, it's going to click in there. I'm going to hold it with those two black bits there, are going to go in on the third one in on this side. 1, 2, 3 in there, clip it down. Just get down, there we go. And this one's going to do exactly the same on this side over here. 1, 2, 3 in there, clip it down, there we go. Now that's a little bit wobbly, that's okay, because what we're going to do now, I'm going to take my last beam with 13 holes in it, and that should clip on this one. There we go. And this one, just be careful, click it in place. There we go. And now it's starting to look a little bit like our car. I'm going to take my llamas now. My llamas. Llama. And I'm going to go down this end over here. And this is a little bit fiddly, but we'll see what we can do. It needs to go down in here. We're looking to get to go down in here and click in. In fact, I'm just going to pull that up a little bit, because I want it to go, right, yep, so I want the top of the llama's nose is going to go in on both sides. It's going to go here. I'm just going to put it up a little bit. It's alright, a little bit of flex is okay. And the second one is going to go in again, similar number, it's going to go 6 in, just next to its friend, stick its nose in. And once those are both in, I'm going to click it down into this bit down here. Oops. If things come out, don't worry, just push it back in again. There we go. Oops. A little bit fiddly. Just a little bit of a wiggle, and eventually it will click. There we go. That one's gone down. And now we are a pretty stable looking vehicle. Okay. Now, to make my car, so it's going to have two driven wheels at the back. These are going to be controlled by the brain, the brick at the end. I'm going to need a wheel at the other end, and this is going to be called a jockey wheel. No, it's not. It's called a castor wheel. Look at this. This is a castor wheel, and the idea of the castor wheel is it can spin in all directions. I'm sorry, I've just turned that one on. You can turn off again. This is our castor wheel, and it's the same sort of wheel that you find on the bottom of shopping trolleys. It can spin in any direction, and it's free to spin any way that it likes. How are we going to make that? Right, well, I'm going to take this axle here, the longest axle that you've got. Now, this one's quite a special one, and it's got a bit of a bulge at one end, and that means that anything that goes on there, for example, that can't go off the end. Now, we don't want that. What we're going to do with this one is I'm going to take this little axle here, this beam rather, and I'm going to poke it all. I'm going to poke it all the way through. No, I'm going to poke it all the way through that end with the cross. So if you find it, not that end with the cross, and push it all the way through, and there'll come a point where it can't go any further, and that's perfect where you want it to be. And then I'm going to take my little wheel. Now this is a gear wheel, but we're going to use it as our little wheel for our castor wheel. I'm going to take the mini axle, push it through, and this is going to be fairly tight. It should be fairly tight by itself. Pop it through the end hole there. Don't know if you can see. There we go. And on the other end, I need the small little. It's a spacer, but these can act as little stops. So I'm going to push that very carefully. I'm going to hold it on there and push it on there, making it up to that bit there. Oops, there we go. Push it through. Now that should be fairly free to spin, and it won't come off. I'm going to give it a shake, but that can spin around. Right, where did we finish this off? I need the fat spacer now. You should have 4 of those. Fat spacer goes on there and goes all the way down. Right, that's the beginnings of my jockey wheel. Now let's finish this off. I'm going to take my 5 beam and my little blue connector, and I'm going to, right at the very end, squash it in, but this end I'm going to make sure that the stop only goes in the stop end with a double length poking out, and do the same on the other side. And this we're going to stick with this still upside down all the way through at the very end of these 2 protruding beams. There we go. I'm going to squash it through all the way through so it's poking out the other end. I'm going to take my final beam and I'm going to click it on the top, so that's now nice and tight. And what I'm going to do now, I can simply take my castor wheel and through the middle hole there, run it all the way through, and it should be free to spin. And take my final spacer, well not the spacer here, and just push it on the top. And there's a bit hanging over the top, and that doesn't matter, but just check it's still free to spin. And there we have it. We have our castor wheel. Okay, last 2 bits. Now, you might have either big wheels or you might have little wheels. It doesn't really matter what they are, but here we go. I'm going to take my wheel. I'm going to take one of these axles, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a spacer, just shove it through a little bit, a nice bit on, and then push that through the wheel so it's coming out the other side. And I'm going to do that with both of them. So axle, spacer goes on a bit, about that much, doesn't really matter. Wheel goes on just to make sure that's coming out the other side. And then these, I'm going to put in my wheels. You can see in the middle of the motor wheel there, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 circles around the outside, but the middle is a cross. We're going to aim for the cross. I'm just going to push it all the way through. Can't go any more than that. You can see a little bit hanging over that side. That's great, doesn't matter. And the same on this side. I'm going to aim for the cross, push it through, and there we go. Now we're almost complete. The last thing to make this run are our cables, and where we're going to go. So we're going to plug one. You'll notice there's a same socket, the matching socket goes with the motor there. So I'm going to click that in, wait for the click. And then this one on the, whichever side this is, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to stick that into port C. You can see it's A, B, C. I'll put that one into C. And then likewise the other one, I'm going to get the cable, put the motor, and put it into B. I'm not going to worry about A, leave A. Now those are a bit in the way, so I just need to kind of gently, very, very gently, just loop them out the way so they're not dragging on the floor. And there we go. It is built. Now if I want to test it, there we go. I'm going to switch it on by pressing the orange button. Give it a second. There we go. So that means it's powered up. And just to test it out, the way we're going to load it, you can see here, the orange button means OK, the grey button is your back button, and the left and right buttons there go left and right. Now I want to go to My Files there, and I want to say Software Files, so I'm going to press the orange button again. And then you might spot different files there from different students. I'm going to use the left and right buttons until I find this one, Demo V2. Then I'm going to press my orange button again to select it, say OK. And it says Demo V2 Run. Now before I press it again, I'm going to put it somewhere flat. You'll probably want to put it on the floor. When I say probably, you are. Just make sure there's nothing around it. Press it and then off it goes. Oops. And there we go. It's now running. And it will run a preassigned program. There we go. And it did that one, so, and now I can turn it off. Or run it again and see if it'll do the whole thing. All right. And you can see the castor wheel. There we go. And that is our basic mindstorm car. Thank you.